I'm not sure if you see that at all, Des. It looks like it's just over the ocean off PCH coming in.
Yeah, I do see him here. I should be able to get him on the screen right here, coming right down. So this is, one of the very highest capacity, maybe the highest capacity. It's just like a waterfall of water comes out of its belly and can actually even do multiple drops. So, hopefully just now that we really got the heavy artillery here, they'll be able to get this knocked down sooner rather than later. And of course, they're also going to have some reservoirs up here in the hills that are strategically placed where they should be able to land and fill up, because they can't use seawater. Isn't that right, Mike?
That is correct. And it's just, I was just thinking about the contrast of it flying over the ocean, and just a couple of feet away there's a fire burning. But yeah, they don't like to pull out of the water, of the ocean rather, because of the salt water damages some of the intake valves and makes it harder to maintain. So ideally, if they can, they'll set up what's called a heli spot, which is either, sometimes we have those big bathtub type looking things, or those miniature pools that they'll pull water out of, or sometimes they'll be able to hook up just to a fire hydrant. Des, while we're looking at the neighborhood here, I'm curious to see if there are people evacuating, if we see any residents on the street at all, or if it looks like everyone's pretty much gone, or at least staying inside.
Yeah, let's have a look here. This street looks pretty vacant at the moment, and we did just go through a holiday weekend, so wondering here as they come in with a water drop right in here, going to be very, very effective there. So now that we have several water dropping helicopters and the really, really heavy one coming in. Now I'm just seeing, it looks like fire apparatuses right now, but I want to go down. Let's see how this is impacting Pacific Coast Highway. Yeah. There's Morningside Drive. And I'll just drop this for a second here as we take a look down at PCH. So this is, this is a pretty busy here, and it might, like I said, be a mix of, summertime in Laguna brings a lot of people down here. It's a really beautiful day. We just had the holiday weekend. Some people may be taking a little bit of extra time off, and then out of the frame, I'll see if I'll be able to get it at some point of the 133, because that looked especially clogged up. Yeah, that is right behind there, and yeah, right over here, the 133. So this is how a lot of people would leave. And,
you see more engines coming in as well.
So that's definitely, so coming south here, where they'll come down Pacific Coast Highway, and looks like some OC sheriffs as well. But the 133, a really, really tough go. And, that's kind of nerve-wracking when you have a fire and some people trying to get out of the area.
Yeah, and Desmond, as we look back at that smoke and we see kind of the patterns here, I want to bring in KCAL News meteorologist Olga Ospina. Olga, are wind conditions an issue for firefighters right now?
The good news is winds are actually light. Laguna Beach right now with winds from the west at 10 miles per hour. Humidity levels are high as well at 68%, and temperatures are mild. So thankfully, this is near the beach. Laguna Beach currently checking in at 70 degrees. So we are fortunate in the fact that we're not seeing this fire develop in one of those inland spots where we're seeing some of the stronger gusts and feeling the drier conditions. So at least weather-wise, we're seeing those winds pushing in from the west, but they are on the lighter side at this hour.
All right, certainly good news, Olga. Thank you for that. And Olga, as we come up the hill here, are you able to tell, I'm sorry, and you said it was an offshore wind that's coming in?
We're looking at those offshore winds moving in.
Yeah, okay. And that's certainly what we're seeing, Desmond, right, with SkyCal here, is the smoke certainly puts up a good wall right as it meets the top of the ridge there, but isn't doing much to continue up the hill.
It kind of seems like it's stalled a bit at this point, and as the fire kind of gets to the top where it's going to hit some of that offshore flow, like you said, Michael, kind of push it back on itself, and you couple that with those high pressure lines as well that are fighting the flames back. So it kind of looks like the fire may already be beginning to stall, and we saw that pinpoint water drop as well. And once the Chinook comes in, that could be a pretty devastating blow to this fire. And again, they're capable of making multiple drops if they want to. Very, very strategic aircraft. As we zoom in now on the hand crews that are coming down, kind of cutting those fire lines, mopping up it, snuffing out any hot spots, suffocating the fire and clearing brush, and so separating it from the fuel and all the things they have to do to contain that. So,
Des, I don't know if you can see it, but I think
this is just one cadre.
Yeah, just south of Crown Valley at a golf course, it looks like where the Chinook is drawing water out of. So they shouldn't be too far along after this. And as you mentioned, those hand crews are integral in and getting up there and cutting those lines to make sure that it doesn't, go any further. The water drops do a great job at snuffing out the flames, and then those hand crews come and make sure that it doesn't go any further than where it's at right now. And certainly once we get that Chinook in, which I think it looks like, so they're both, Des, both that Firehawk and the Chinook are filling up out of that golf course. It's the El Miguel Country Club, just south of Crown Valley Parkway. So they're filling up out of there. As we mentioned, we thought they would be looking for a heli spot that's kind of close by to here, but not necessarily the ocean. And then they're coming in here and making another drop. And then we got some fixed wing tankers right there too, as well, that came out of, I believe those guys came out of Chino too. That one actually came out of San Diego County, Desmond. Ramona is where that one came from.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, I mean, great help here getting resources from different agencies. We know that, there's a lot of sharing that goes on to whenever, there's a lull in one area, if they have resources to lend to another part of the region, they will definitely do that. A lot of cooperation. I do want to widen out and show you. So I mentioned that other fire. So right over here is, I'm going to highlight it here, is where that all broke out a couple of years ago that I was referencing. That is the ridge line, because I remember this water treatment plant is where it began, and then it came up the hill, and I know we're kind of peering through the smoke here, but you can actually still see some vacant plots up here.
Oh, yeah.
So you see where some of the homes that built, and some of them haven't been rebuilt, and it just kind of gives you an idea of how quickly the situation can get out of control.
Really quickly,
I remember we were
up to your right is that golf course. That Chinook's just about to take off, but see right up there, straight in the middle of your screen, is where they're filling up out of out of that golf course right there. And the Chinook, I just saw it, but they're lifting up, or maybe it was the Firehawk. But yeah, that's that reservoir that they're picking up out of, bringing water over. And unfortunately, Des, as you're pointing out, all too familiar for the people in Laguna Beach and Laguna Hills that know how bad these fires, there's the Chinook right there, how bad these fires can be and how quickly they can escalate and how quickly they can, a shift of the wind can just do the wrong thing. So that's why we're seeing all sorts of aircraft on this. And Desmond, if I remember correctly, one of the criticisms of that fire down in Laguna was the lack of air resources kind of at the beginning. And so certainly a much, much different response now several years later to this, where I'm counting 6 different aircraft on this, certainly, and then 7 if you include the recon aircraft that's above. So a lot of aircraft on this.
Absolutely, and I do remember covering that there was kind of a conspicuous absence of aircraft at the beginning of that fire from the zone that I just showed you, not even a mile away, just on the other one canyon over from where this fire is burning, the Rancho fire, I believe they're calling this. So they're not going to want a repeat of that situation. And you're right, Mike, just a ton of aerial resources, and not just the hand crews, but from the air as well. And that's really going to make the difference. And it looks like they are fighting these flames back pretty effectively so far. Haven't really seen it advance past where the hose lines are spraying here. So. I think even since we got on the scene, this is starting to look considerably better, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And Des, there's also a sky crane coming. It's coming over Mission Viejo. We know those have a ton of water on them as well. Speaking of since we got here, I want to show you our viewers some video of what it looked like a little bit ago and really paint you the picture and give you the idea of how much progress crews have been making on the right side of your screen. That is when SkyCal was just first getting overhead. You can see the smoke much thicker. You even see some open flame in that shot as well, as it really pushed up the ridge side to those homes. Things looking a lot better there. And again, we don't know how this fire started. That's certainly part of the investigation. They'll want to get the flames under control and then work to figure all that out. But we can see that this fire has been topography driven. We see a lot of those engines on that right side of your screen you saw on Morningside Drive, which looked like where you had a bunch of engine staging as well. It's unclear if this was a car fire or what have you, how this fire sparked. But regardless, it did, and it moved up the hill towards those homes, those very large homes up there. Fire department crews did a great job of getting in there on La Mirada, bringing in hand lines and drawing those into the backyard and spraying that down. And we have seen that go continuously since we got on scene here from SkyCal. And now, as you look at the live pictures on the left side of your screen, things like that on the right side of your screen are what is making this fire better. A very, very intense air attack on this fire, including a Chinook, several fixed wings, Firehawks. We have a sky crane coming in, which the sky cranes and the Chinooks carry probably the most water out of helicopters that we can really get on a fire. So certainly they are not taking any chances on this. And as you look at the left side of your screen here, you see those hand crews in there as well. Those guys are doing really tough work to get in there. They've got pickaxes, they've got hoses, they've got shovels, they've got chainsaws. They've got everything that they could need to really get in there and try to knock out these final kind of hot spots and really get a containment line around this fire and get some sort of control over it so that they know it's not going to spread outside of where they've got it right now. And they'll do that. They'll come up from the top as well. We haven't seen that quite yet, likely because they're trying to, make sure that they can get those flames down at the top there. And Des, does it look like it hopped that canyon right there, that open flame on the bottom of the screen?
Yeah, we do have some open, boy, yeah. So that might be the problem now with that kind of offshore flow that we were talking about. And so now, the fire, while the fire was blowing back on itself, this is one thing. Hopefully the Chinook will come in and focus on this, because now it's on the opposite side of the canyon, and so now it's got the wind at its back, and it's going uphill, and it has a lot of fuel to go with it. So this is actually more concerning, although there's no homes at the top here, and there's a great fire break. I'll just widen out and show you. Unlike the past fire that I mentioned that was so devastating, here you can see at the top of Sumé Dumont Drive, that's basically just a fire road, and there's already some firefighters up there as well. And that's all flat and pretty thin brush. But, I mean, still, if they don't knock it down, that the acreage could definitely expand just with that little bit there. This is the first flames that we've seen on this side of the canyon. You're right, Mike.
Yeah, and Des, I want to bring in Olga. Olga, if you could give us kind of an idea of what the wind speeds are there. Is it I mean, we don't see the smoke certainly blowing sideways, but it's obviously doing enough that it appears to have carried some of these embers.
It has. We have some light to moderate winds right now from the west at 10 miles per hour. So these are winds that are on the lighter side, and humidity levels are high as well. So weather-wise, things are looking good. Temperatures are mild also, 70 degrees right now in Laguna Beach. But of course, even these light winds can push these fires into other areas. So definitely something of concern, as winds are not calm, but they are light to moderate right now. And we could see some gusts picking up also stronger than the 10 miles per hour.
And Olga, I'm sorry, what was the humidity rate you said?
Right now, the humidity rate is at 68%. 68%. So that is very high.
Yeah, that is very good. We know that fire crews love low temperatures and high humidity to help them kind of deal with these fires. And we just saw, Des, that fixed wing come and put a retardant line in there. So now what will happen is if they don't put the flames out, it'll burn right up to it, ideally, and then stop there at that line, so long as none of the other embers kind of push off into the other side.
Yeah, it looked like kind of a change of strategy there.
Yeah.
I'm sure the air tac, alerted the other fixed wing there, saying, "Hey, look, it jumped the canyon. Let's get ahead of that right there." And that's exactly what they did. And maybe even at this point, they could probably even just allow it to burn up to that line, clear some of that brush out of the way, and then you're right, it'll just burn itself out. They'll probably even drop another line or two there. We'll see how much they have, but they've already dropped quite a bit, so it may be having to go back in to go get some more of that fire retardant. And and you said one of those came from Ramona. I mean, I wonder if they're going to fly all the way back there, or if they can.
That's what
we know that there's a good store of retardant at San Bernardino, or they may have some at John Wayne as well.
Yeah, and that's where I'm looking, Des, and it actually looks like they're going back maybe to March to get some out of there, because I'm watching one of them that just left, and they're not going back south to San Diego. They're headed out to the east. So I would guess they're either going to go to March or San Diego. I mean, San Bernardino, because we know San Bernardino's got that big healthy fuel. But I think, you know what? Actually, I just found them. Yeah, they are on the ground. Not even at March. They're at Hemet. So they must have a reserve at Hemet as well. So it looks like that's where they're going to get it. Certainly closer than Ramona. And then we've got the Sky Crane that's coming in. Let's see, where did they go? They're actually, it looks like they're still coming into the area. They're over like the Laguna Woods spot now. So again, lots of aircraft on this, being ready to fight this and having to not go as far to get what they need to get back over here and put some more water on it.
Yeah, no, I mean, the quicker the turnaround, obviously, the better. We've still got almost like a waterfall worth of water coming out of the backyards here from those hydrants. You can still see, we haven't really seen the fire advance on this side. We even got some hand crews now coming down the ridge line as well. They'll probably kind of start to rake some lines out and just to kind of improve the fire breaks there. clear any brush out of the way. So quite a bit of improvement, but definitely a smoky fire. And, you know, high humidity, very good. That brush, mostly green like we saw. So, you know, it's advantage fire as far as the geography and the fuel goes, but advantage firefighters weather-wise, just kind of a gentle breeze, high humidity. And I'm sure, you know, it's making it a lot more comfortable for those guys carrying all that heavy equipment out there on the lines, working. Much easier to work in conditions like this than what we're actually going to start to see even in the next couple of days. That's what's also a little disconcerting, is this isn't even anywhere close to as warm a weather as we're going to see later on this week, when the fire danger is really going to be elevated. There we have a good drop. If that was from the Chinook, look, kind of that maybe dirty golf course water. But yeah, I see the blades of the Chinook coming out there. So very effective. That's the first drop that we've seen them make, and definitely welcome by the crews on the ground.
And certainly, Desmond, and I wanted to know if you could go to the top of that ridge. It almost looked like they were setting up a heli-spot up there sorry, the other one where we saw where that fire was moving towards. Yeah, up there, right at the top there, over to the left. I couldn't tell. It looked like there may have been, if you go right in tight there on the right side of the screen, is that a little pool back over to the right that they're filling with water? I couldn't tell if that's a container or a...
Yeah, actually it is.
Yeah, so that's what I was referencing earlier. So they'll fill that with water, and then eventually we'll see those helicopters be able to come in and dip out of there instead of having to go all the way back to the golf course. And the golf course is not that far away, but certainly the closer you can get, the better. So we'll have to keep an eye on this and see if we start seeing them make dips out of there instead of, you know, coming over. And they've got these strategically set up. They're all over Southern California. Really, all of our fire agencies have these pre-designated helispots that they can go open up and get some water in. It looked like there were some city crews maybe there helping get that filled as well. So hopefully some of those helicopters, maybe not the Chinook, but you know, maybe the smaller ones, the Bell or even the Firehawk, will be able to go dip out of there and just kind of make these rounds a little bit quicker than they had been, you know, when they first got on scene. But certainly, Des, I would say the fire looking a lot better. We're probably getting into the area where we're looking at more kind of trouble spots, you know, kind of deeper in the canyon here that are causing some problems. But I think we see the flame there burning in that canyon, which is what those hand crews are trying to get to. It's obviously difficult terrain for them to get in and out of, which is why they are using the helicopters and the fixed wing to get in there and really douse those. But those hand crews will still get in there and try to at least cut back some of that brush. But I would say, Des, I mean, significantly better than when we got here. And, you know, it's hard to tell because you have that smoke on the top of the ridge, but not as close to the homes as we had when we first started, right?
Yeah, and not really any open flame
up here, right?
Near
just smoke.
The top of the ridge. Yeah, so coming right up here, this fire is really kind of having trouble, I think, with the offshore flow, and then how well drenched all of the greenery is here as well. It's not going to burn nearly as effectively, and here's you got somebody kind of mopping up there as well. So, you know, not completely out of danger, but huge improvement there. The bulk of the fire is kind of down at the bottom of the canyon, and it's probably, you know, going to try to creep its way up the opposite end of the ridge. But, you know, we already saw this section right here, but they do have the fire retardant line down on it pretty well, and hopefully that will stop it in its tracks. And I assume that's where they're going to be focusing the majority of the retardant once those fixed-wing planes get back in place.
Yeah, and Des, you can always kind of tell when we're getting into an area where the fire is more concentrated into one spot, because we get all these aircraft, and I'm just watching them on the radar. There's now more aircraft really than can fit in that spot. So that sky crane I've been telling you about, it's actually been kind of orbiting over in the Aliso Viejo area, presumably waiting for some clearance to get in. So it looks like it has just now been cleared to make its way towards the fire, while the Chinook and the Firehawk are refueling. I also just noticed the other Chinook, that is the LA County Chinook, looks like it's making its way down there. It'll be hard to tell if it actually is going to get there. It's over the Yorba Linda area now. So that's kind of what happens, is we get these these tight areas where, you know, we want all the aircraft we can get, but sometimes there's just not always room for them all.
Yeah, no, obviously very, very careful coordination. We had that really unfortunate incident, I believe it was last year, out in the Beaumont area when they were fighting a fire and a couple of aircraft collided out there. And so, you know, that's what they have, the fixed wing kind of commanding all of this airspace and just kind of having one go in at a time, so they don't get any kind of, you know, traffic jam in that constricted area. And you have, you know, a lot of smoke as well, kind of making it difficult to navigate. So, yeah, one at a time. We had the Chinook come through there, and they've also got that helispot getting set up, as you mentioned. We'll probably see the Firehawk dip in right there. very strategic. And I mean, you know, we have to be in Southern California with obviously all the fire danger we have, but you see right up here at the top of the ridgeline how they have that for just such an occasion as this, and we'll probably see some of the aircraft dipping in there shortly.
Yeah, and Des, I want to ask our control room if they can get my computer ready, because I just kind of want to show you, thank you, on the right side of your screen, are all of the aircraft. So this is SkyCal, we're obviously up pretty high, but this is a Cal Fire fixed wing, this is the Firehawk that I was referencing, and you can see where they're making the dips in and out of the golf course over here, and actually that's where this one Chinook is too. So you've got the Chinook, you've got the Firehawk, this is the Sky Crane that I mentioned was kind of holding over Aliso Viejo. Looked like it was coming in, but now it's still holding to the west. And then this is the other, the Bell 412 that's been pushing in as well. And the other ones that I've been telling you about that have been going back, these are the fixed wing tankers that have been going back to Hemet to get more retardant in there. So these two are going back. Looks like Tanker 73 is coming back. These are all by Cal Fire. And then you've got that other Chinook that is coming out of LA County that is also working its way down. So we have no shortage of aircraft that will be over this. This is the Intel plane that will be overhead. They're the ones that are giving the fire crews on the ground some very, very, very precise mapping of this fire, giving us an exact idea of how long or how large the fire is. And they actually give it to us pretty quickly as well. And I'll just see really quickly if they've got any kind of update here as we watch this fire kind of burn. They don't have an update on their website just yet, but typically as soon as they hit the button in the aircraft, that gives us this good look of how big the fire is in a very quick sense, Desmond, as we continue to watch this here, looking much, much better really than when we got on the air.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, here, I'm looking at all this tape. I wasn't sure if this was tape or if this was hose lines, but it looks like tape that they have set up. And that's usually what they do when they think, you know, that's the ignition point there. So kind of to minimize foot traffic around there, and hopefully they can find what started all of this. And that's what you're looking at here. And
Desmond, we are going to continue to monitor this fire. We will leave you overhead for a little bit longer. We will have a full wrap-up for our viewers this afternoon on KCAL News at 4 o'clock. Until then, we will send you back to regular programming. Thank you for joining.
It has been exactly 6 months since the Eaton fire ripped through Altadena, destroying nearly 9,000 homes, businesses, and other structures. And there are so many stories of strength and resilience as the rebuilding continues. KCAL News reporter Mana Sorrentino is in Altadena, and she talked to a family about their struggles and will to stay strong.
Altadena Strong has been the powerful message to get this community through this rebuild process. And strong it has been. We've seen so much resilience. And the big message, Altadena not for sale. And we're seeing a lot of homes and families working to come right back here. This property we're standing on was the Williams family home. They've been here for decades. And unfortunately, everyone in the family, they live blocks from each other, a dream for so many families. Your houses were all lost in the fire. So Tilly, she's the mama of all of these beautiful women here. What does this community mean to you?
It means a lot because it's where I've raised my kids. We all know our way around. We know the people that we're living next to and stuff, and it just makes a big difference.
It makes a huge difference, and this community has really been home for you guys. Also, this is Jane's Village, so for those that don't know, this is a historically black community. 1 week before or after the fires tore through was going to be 100 years of celebrating this kind of neighborhood here, and you guys are going to come back strong, celebrate what this community is all about, and you're all coming back and rebuilding in your own way. Your story is incredible, Ishal, because you were a renter, but you're going to be owning your property now. How did that work out?
With the help of Neighborhood Housing Services, we were able to purchase the property on my behalf. We will rebuild with me in mind, and I will be in the same house that I've been in for the last 17 years.
You've been dealing with so much red tape. You were telling me AT&T was still